100 with Jack Johnson, and the horizon has been defeated. Counting Crows just before that with Come Around. I'm David Hall. I'm partial to Kentucky girls since I grew up in Kentucky, and I've got a Kentucky girl with me here, although we both left. She went to New York, I went to Nashville. Joan Osborne is here. Welcome back, Joan.
Hello. I didn't know you were a Kentucky boy.
Yeah, I grew up there. Nice to have you back. Joan is playing tonight at the Belcourt Theater, and she has a new CD out called Little Wild One. We're going to talk about all of that, but we also want to get some live music on the radio here. Joan, who is with you here today playing guitar?
This is Andrew Carrillo, who is a guitarist in my band, and he's really going to tune this guitar incredibly well as we sit and listen to it, and then I think we're going to play a song from the new album.
Excellent.
What part of Kentucky are you from, Dave?
I grew up in Murray, Kentucky, which is in the southwestern
Oh, yes,
corner.
I've been there, Murray State University.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I went there on a choir trip when I was in like 10th grade or something.
And what was the town that you grew up in?
It's a little town called Anchorage, which is about 30 miles outside of Louisville.
Yeah. All right. Y'all set, Andrew?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Tide below me with the sun in my eyes, and I reach for the feeling that the world is my prize. I am crossing Brooklyn Ferry with the clouds to my west, and I know what I'm missing. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter than the rest. Well, you climbed in my window and you painted me gold. It was stone recognition. It was truth being told. And we burned down the winter with the fire we possessed. And I wish you could know this. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter than the rest. And I wish you well. I wish you well. And I wish you well. I wish you well. I wish you well. And I wish you well. Well, well, well. Some days I wonder if it's time to go home. But this dream I've been dreaming will not leave me alone. I can go where I want to, and I'm doing my best. But I know what I'm losing. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter than the rest. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter than the rest. Oh, some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter. Some are sweet, but you were sweeter than the rest.
Very Very nicely done. Joan Osborne live in the studio here on Lightning 100 with Sweeter Than the Rest, which is one of the songs on the new CD, A Little Wild One, just recently released. September 9th, I think, was the street date for that.
That's right.
Joan, one of the interesting things about this record is that it's a reunion of sorts of the team that did Relish. You got Rick Chertoff as your producer, and Rob Hyman and Eric Bazillion of the Hooters, I guess, producing and doing some writing, right?
Yeah, doing some writing, doing some playing.
How did that reunion come about?
Well, it was something that I think we all had been talking about doing, and we would call each other and say, yeah, we got to get together and write something. We got to go back to work in the studio. And all of us being so busy, it just took years and years. And finally, Eric and I were sending each other emails, and we just said, look, if we don't sit down and make a date for this, it's going to be another 5 years before it happens. So I went down to Philadelphia and started doing some writing just with him. And he and Rob Hyman are still in a band called the Hooters together. And Rob, just happened to stop by to borrow an amp or something and got sucked into the whole songwriting process of whatever we were working on at the time. And after a couple of days of that, I looked around and I said, this sounds, this seems really familiar, but somebody is missing. So I called up Rick Chertoff and said, it looks like we're getting this thing back together and finally doing this. And luckily we were able to clear out our schedules and really make it happen.
And when you got down to it and you had everybody together, was there the sense of deja vu? Did it feel like, hey, this is nice? Yeah,
in really positive ways, and of course, some old conflicts, came rearing their ugly heads again. I mean, it's I guess that's how it is with anybody who collaborates and comes from different mindsets. But I do find that those guys will push me to go to places that I never would go on my own, and that's what I look for in collaborators. I don't want to just repeat the things that I can do on my own. I want somebody who's going to shove me into a corner, and as I fight my way back out, I discover something new that I never would have done.
Well, I don't think anybody would accuse you of repeating yourself because you've done a lot of varied projects lately. Your last few albums have been dabbling in different genres and stuff. And so it's interesting did you feel like maybe this was a return to, I don't know if we can call it your signature sound, but it's the sound that, was there when you burst onto the scene, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more of a pop sound than the other records that I have done recently. And I mean, I wouldn't say pop in the sense that a Mariah Carey record is a pop record, but it's definitely the most pop thing that I've done in a while. And it is a bit of a return. It's kind of a companion piece in a way to Relish, because it's, it's not Relish 2 or anything, but there are a lot of similarities in the sound because of using the same, writers and arrangers. Rob and Eric and I are all really into the arranging process as well. And I think there are some similarities sonically to the Relish record as well.
And I would say there's more you on this record in the sense of the songs, because in recent records you've done a lot of covered songs and stylistically I think tried to do things in those same styles. But this feels like more like this is Joan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say that the other things are not, but I did, like the last two records, I did very much set for myself the task of making a genre record. And I came down to Nashville, actually, and made a record called Pretty Little Stranger, which was my version of a country record. And then I did my version of a soul record called Breakfast in Bed. And I find that that's really interesting to set myself that task as a writer and as a singer to do something within a genre. But this was more of as I say, a pop thing where I felt like I could just do whatever came out. Didn't have to put it in a particular box.
When you did that country record, didn't you play the Grand Ole Opry?
I did play the Grand Ole Opry at the Ryman.
Oh, wow. How was that? Oh, my
God. That was so amazing. That was so cool. I really was like, the spotlight comes down and you see the silhouette of all the seats that you've seen from all those movies. And I felt like, I was levitating into Patsy Cline's little cloud or something. It was pretty special, actually. It was.